Hey guys, it's Candace.
And it's Elena.
And you're listening to Cousins on Crime.
What you doing?
Melting. I'm just going to complain about the heat every single time.
Yeah.
So just expect it.
I think we've got two more weeks of really bad heat. So I'm just going to stay inside as much as I can.
Yeah. Hermitify.
Yeah, you just went to Vegas and had like a quick weekend.
Yes, and I roasted.
No, was it hotter there?
The only saving grace was that my best friend has a pool and her backyard looks like, I'm not kidding, HGTV. Like, it is like a magazine backyard.
Yeah.
So, yes, I swam. I laid out. I roasted when I wasn't swimming or laying out. Yes, very hot in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, did y'all go see any shows?
We did.
Okay.
We went to see Absinthe at the at Caesar's Palace.
Okay,
and it was raunchy.
Oh.
They had amazing acts. Like, they did have like acrobats and
okay, that's the stuff I like to see.
Stacked chairs and you know, like this one guy. It looked like a shower curtain, but it was like a tube of plastic hanging from the ceiling, going all the way down, and he like crawled up in there and like would like do all these different moves up against the plastic, and then he climbed all the way to the top and dropped.
Oh.
And then like caught himself down at the bottom.
What?
Anyway, it was amazing. So, yeah, I mean, if you like a bit of raunchiness, go on.
Ooh.
Yeah, there were booby tassels. And, yeah.
Goodness.
So,
well, that's Vegas for you.
It is Vegas.
I've been once, and I think I don't care to go again.
It's not for me. And actually, we didn't, I didn't go there to go on the Strip. My friend lives outside of, the hustle and bustle. So, but she was like, we need to get you out of the house. Like, you've got to, I kind of just
have some fun.
Yeah. I went to have like a little getaway and, just get a little clarity and clear my mind, which is funny. Like Vegas, that just seems like not the place to clear your mind.
But her backyard was helpful.
But, yes, exactly. So, but we had a night out. So she drugged me out and was like, you got to get out of this house, girl.
Good friends.
Yes. Everyone needs a Dusty in their life.
Aww.
Yeah. It was great. Let's do it again sometime. I will do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was really good to get home and see my babes.
Yeah. I'm sure you missed all of
their
them.
little tootie booties.
Were they clinging to you when you got home?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I went and I got home so late that night and they were all asleep. So I went in and like sniffed their heads and kissed them. And so, but they still say, I've been back for a couple days now, and they're like, Mommy, you're back.
Oh,
every day they're like, Mommy, you're back.
You're here. Oh,
so
sweet girls.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was great. How have you been?
I've been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm recovered from youth camp.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we took 24 youth.
That was
Branson.
Not a relaxing getaway.
It was not a vacation, guys. The youth probably had fun. But yeah, it was good. We went and saw the Esther production at Sights and Sounds in Branson. And it was amazing. If you haven't been to one of the Sights and Sounds productions, they do like Bible stories. They've done Noah and, the Christmas story, of course, and other things. We went to see Esther, and they're going to be doing King David next, which I want to go see that one.
When I visited Branson for the first time, I didn't realize what a performing, it's such a place you go to like watch theater, and
it's a showy place.
Yeah, I never expected that when I first visited there.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad that you had a good time afterwards.
Yes, I have recovered. So,
all right. Well, are you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, this is not going to be a good time for anybody.
No more good times.
No, the good times have stopped rolling. It was a steamy evening, June 25th, 1983. When 37-year-old John Gentry was leaving a birthday dinner for his friend at the Driftwood restaurant in Pensacola, Florida.
Oh.
His belly was full from the most delicious prime rib he had ever eaten, he said. He was wearing a silk suit, so I imagine there was like a little pep in his step, as he walked to his car.
And
like,
I'm feeling good.
Exactly. That song was playing. His girlfriend Judy had stayed behind at the restaurant to finish chatting with friends, and the plan was that he was going to go grab a bottle of wine. I read one report that said they were celebrating because Judy was pregnant, but I didn't see that substantiated anywhere.
Okay.
So they wanted to continue their evening, so he was going to go grab some wine and meet her at home. So John got into his car. He turned the key, and boom.
No.
His car exploded. Exploded.
What?
Detective Ted Chamberlain of the Pensacola Police Department got a call from dispatch reporting that a car had exploded outside the Driftwood restaurant. He's like, when you say exploded, like exploded?
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to like get a sense of what.
Like, be more specific.
Yeah, like they blew a fuse. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? So he's like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm rolling up on. So he called the ATF to attend the scene with him.
Oh.
And once there, they observed a man laying on the sidewalk near the car, badly injured.
Oh, no.
By now, the guests of the birthday dinner and other restaurant patrons, including John's girlfriend, Judy Buenoano, had all rushed out to see what that loud noise just was. There was smoke billowing up in the sky from John's car, shattered glass. I mean, the roof was blown out, like literally looked like something blew out of it. He had a sunroof.
Oh my goodness.
The trunk was blown apart. I mean, it exploded. What can I mean?
Yeah.
Just, I'll post a picture of it, but it's like, it exploded. All right. Thank goodness the ATF was on scene. Like, because they're experts on that kind of stuff. They found that the car had been rigged so that when the taillights powered on, a wire would spark 5 sticks of dynamite that was located in the trunk.
5. Ooh,
5.
That's excessive.
It was clearly a targeted attack.
Yeah.
Someone wanted to kill John Gentry.
Oh, yeah. I'd say.
Yeah. So John was rushed to Sacred Heart Hospital, and his family and girlfriend Judy stood vigil as they rushed him into surgery. Miraculously, he pulled through surgery and remained in a coma for a couple days following surgery. According to the Chicago Tribune, he had lost most of his large and small intestines, a portion of his liver, a kidney, and pancreas. Doctors informed the family that the damage was so extensive that he likely wouldn't live past like 60.
Wow.
Yeah.
The fact that he even lived.
Right. Exactly. Well, if the dynamite hadn't been in the trunk,
yeah,
he wouldn't have lived.
Yeah.
If it had been under his seat, he would have not lived. John was such a nice guy. Life was really great for him, and no one close to him could imagine anyone who would want to kill him. He was smart, handsome, very close to his family. John, I mentioned his girlfriend Judy. They had met, and they met at a women's mud wrestling contest.
Was she performing in that?
I don't know if she was there like in the contest, but she was there, like
a spectator.
Yeah, and he was just taken with her, and it was a really fast relationship. They moved in together about 6 months into their relationship, and Judy brought her teenage son and daughter to live with them as well. The couple were very comfortable financially. Judy owned her own nail salon called Fingers and Faces, which was located in Gulf Breeze, Florida. John had his own carpet and wallpaper business that he ran with his brother, and they were actually thinking about opening another store.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. When Judy was asked if John had any enemies, she told police, well, she could think of one person. It could be the shady people that he had recently done business with.
Oh.
So John had apparently been sued by a woman in Mobile, Alabama, when their deal to open another store went belly up.
Uh-oh.
Maybe this was retaliation, she suggested.
Goodness.
Police followed that lead and went to speak with the woman, but they didn't get a sense that she was responsible. Okay. And besides, that suit was wrapped up and dropped. It was either dropped or concluded days before this incident. So it didn't seem like she even would have had a motive, really. Once John had woken up from his coma, investigators got they booties up to the hospital to speak with him. John denied the people he was doing business with in Mobile would try to kill him. He's like, even I don't think they would have done this. And he didn't know who would have done it.
Wow.
John said that about 6 weeks before, he was violently ill after taking some vitamins and had to go to the hospital. He recovered. He felt better. Then he went home and he got sick all over again.
Oh, no.
And he had to go back to the hospital. The doctors, John, his family, they were all confused as to what was wrong with him at the time. He said he had a cold and Judy had given him some Vicon C, which is like vitamin C.
Oh, okay.
Vitamins to boost his immune system. And that's when he started feeling sick. So he stopped taking them. And he actually had some in his bag.
Oh.
Like when investigators came to talk to him.
Okay.
So he gave them those capsules that he had a couple left over.
So he was suspicious about something.
Well, not really.
Oh.
At the time, he wasn't. He just stopped taking them because he was like, these make me feel worse. Like, I'm just not going to take these anymore.
Well, I mean, like when the police are asking him questions, he's like, his wheels are turning like, well, these.
They were like, yeah. And they were like, do you happen to have these?
Yeah, that's
anymore? And he's like, actually, yes, they're in my bag.
Yeah.
Here you go. Investigators looked into Judy because now they're like side-eyeing her. And at first they didn't really find anything concerning under that name. Then one of the investigators was like, isn't that Spanish for something like Goodyear?
Huh?
and he was like, Buenoano. More on that later. And wouldn't you know it, they did find a whole rabbit hole under the name Judy Goodyear.
What?
Yeah. So let's talk about Judy for a minute.
Okay.
Ever since
big booty Judy?
She not big booty, but she looks like a lunch lady Judy. I mean that with the utmost respect. Not for her, but for lunch ladies across the nation. Ever since that attempt on John Gentry's life, police were real busy digging into Judy's past. The more investigators learned about her, the more concerned they became. According to the Chicago Tribune, over the years, she would tell friends that she was the great-great-granddaughter of Geronimo.
Oh.
As in, like, the famous Native American chief. Mm-hmm. She also told people that she was the heir to the Goodyear Tire Company, which, yeah, that makes sense. She claimed to have a PhD and a black belt in karate.
Okay.
And who knows what other little lies she spewed.
Mud wrestling.
Yeah. I have a black belt in mud wrestling. But she, you know, she kind of reminds me of Aurora Martine.
Okay.
That grandiose, like, and I'll get into it. Judy comes from humble beginnings. Okay. So it's this idea that I can be anything I want in my mind. So Judy was born in a tiny town in Texas in April of 1943. She was born under the name Judius Welty, named after her mother. According to reporting by Molly Barrows, an independent journalist, Judy was a little crap bag as a child.
Wow.
Sadly, she lost her mom to tuberculosis when she was just 4 years old. And she was kind of passed off from her grandparents to go live with her dad in Roswell, New Mexico. You know, her dad, his new wife, and their kids. She was put in jail as an adolescent for throwing hot grease on her stepbrothers and her dad. And
I'd say she's a problem.
She was released 2 months later, and she opted to go to an all-girls reform school instead of going back home to her dad's house. She was unhappy there, and they certainly probably didn't want her there. She graduated high school in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1959, and 2 years later had a son who she named Michael with a man named ?
Okay.
We don't know who Michael's biological father was, but Michael's last name was Schultz. And at the time, Judy was going by the name Anna Schultz. So maybe Schultz is a significant name having to do with the dad. But Michael soon found a father figure in James Goodyear. He was a technical sergeant in the U.S. Air Force. Now, James and Judy married in 1962. James adopted Michael. And then James and Judy had 2 children of their own, James Jr. and a daughter named Kimberly. A couple years after the Air Force relocated James and his family to Orlando, Florida, James Goodyear Sr. tragically passed away. He'd come home from serving in Vietnam in the summer of 1971, and he became really sick.
Oh, no.
He was complaining of stomach pains and flu-like symptoms, and one of their friends said that he was hallucinating, like he thought a rabbit was in his bed sheets. Like he was like,
my goodness,
fumbling at the sheets. 2 weeks after being seen by a doctor with no real answers, he died of renal failure and respiratory arrest.
Wow.
Judy found herself a widow, 3 children, but it was okay because she received $60,000 from the military life insurance policy and about $30,000 more from another life insurance policy that James had.
Okay, then. According
to reporting by Molly Barrows, Judy also suffered a house fire shortly after that and received $90,000 in insurance money.
Okay. I got your number, Judy.
So, tragedy all around, but money helped.
Yeah.
Money helped. Now, with her new influx of cash, Judy moved with her kids to Pensacola, Florida, but she struggled with her own problem child, her firstborn, Michael. He had some behavioral and cognitive issues. It was said that he had like low IQ and was getting in trouble at school, really disruptive.
Oh, man.
Judy just couldn't deal. So she did what any parent would do. She put him in foster care.
Right. Anybody would do that. Like, just get rid of him.
You don't have to keep these kids, guys. If they're bringing you down, Just put him in foster care.
Sarcasm.
I hope that you're picking up on the sarcasm. After that, things were looking up for Judy. She had one less mouth to feed.
Oh my gosh.
And she met someone new, Bobby Joe Morris. They dated for about 6 months before they broke up. Bobby Joe actually moved out to Trinidad, Colorado. Not sure what the split was about. I didn't really see any details about that. But they ended up having a change of heart, and Judy moved out to Colorado to be with him. Despite not actually being married, she went by Judy Morris, and she told people that she was Bobby Joe's wife. Well, in 1978, just months after taking out a life insurance policy and naming Judy as the beneficiary, Bobby Joe started not feeling great.
Oh my goodness.
His blood pressure dropped so low that he had to be admitted to the hospital in Trinidad. Doctors were really kind of guessing when they were treating his symptoms. They weren't really sure what to come up with a diagnosis, but they were able to stabilize him and release him. 2 days later, the illness returned and he collapsed while having dinner.
Oh my gosh.
He was rushed back to the hospital, but he died there. Didn't make it. Judy collected around $80,000 from Bobby Joe's life insurance policy.
Wow. And
moved back to Pensacola. I guess the cold was not for her.
Yeah.
She liked the heat.
Okay.
So Judy settled back into the Sunshine State in a nice house. You know, she's got this more money coming in.
Yeah.
Every 6 months, apparently. And she lived in a lovely neighborhood. And now she had changed her name again to Judy Buenoano. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, and our Hispanic listeners are laughing right now because the investigator thought Buenoano meant good year in Spanish.
Yeah.
I think that's what Judy was going for. But according to the Collins Dictionary, every other Spanish translation I could find, and I asked my friend, thank you, Audrey. Bueno means good, of course.
Right.
We all know that. But ano means anus.
Oh.
Año means year.
Yeah, año.
Año.
Good try, Judy.
But she wasn't using the tilde over the N.
Oh.
She was going by good anus, or anus good, if you're being grammatically
there you go.
technical about it. Yeah, so I just thought I'd mention that because that's funny. So she's back in Pensacola, and the details about the next part are a little sparse, but let's talk about it. I'm not sure at what point she reconnects with Michael.
Oh.
Okay. I don't know if they had an ongoing relationship while he was living with someone else in foster care. I don't know how that all worked.
And do you know how old he was?
He was 18 at this time.
Okay.
So they either reconnected or were already still in communication. But she learned that Michael had been in an accident while stationed at Fort Rucker, Alabama. See, like his daddy, he was a military man. However, Michael was serving in the Army. It was like some sort of chemical incident that landed him on leave from duty. So he came home to her house for a visit and began to feel sick.
What?
Yes, he was suffering from the same symptoms that his dad did. Vomiting, muscle pain, diarrhea. He was deteriorating quite quickly. Now, he was hospitalized for this illness. He was treated, but he didn't die, but he was messed up from the illness. Yeah, he couldn't use his legs anymore. One of his arms wouldn't work. It messed up his muscles and his motor function. And thinking about it, he was already, low IQ, behavioral issues. He was already on that side cognitively. So I'm wondering if there was some kind of brain damage at one point in his life, or I don't know. So he survived, but he was in these heavy metal braces. Like he had braces on his legs.
Bless his heart.
And was basically confined to a wheelchair.
Oh,
like he
that's
just
so terrible.
Yeah. He was released to Judy to care for him. And what do you do when your son gets right out of the hospital?
Give him more poison?
No, you take him fishing.
Oh.
You take him fishing.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, that's the natural. I mean, he doesn't want to come home and rest or get like Chick-fil-A or, you know, eat non-hospital food. I'm sure he wanted to go out on the boat. Okay. Right? So May 12th, 1980, Judy took Michael to the East River. I also saw reports that her younger son, James, was with them. I'm unsure. But they went to the East River where many locals did their fishing and secured a lawn chair to the inside of a canoe.
That sounds very difficult.
Sounds rickety, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So she's like, she helped Michael into the chair. So like she wedged this chair down in the canoe.
No girl.
Yeah. She gets in, Michael's in, they row out into the middle of the water when suddenly a snake fell in the boat, Judy says, and the canoe capsized. Been there.
You can relate to that.
Yeah. That's a story for another time. Michael fell out of the boat.
Well, I could imagine.
And because he's in these heavy metal braces and he cannot swim or use his legs and one of his arms at least, he sank immediately.
This lady.
She collected over $100,000 from Michael's life insurance policies through the military.
Disgusting.
That cash payout was her seed money for Fingers and Faces.
Oh,
the nail salon she opened up. Yeah.
This lady, she is a piece of work.
Oh, yeah. Well, by now, John and his family, John Gentry and his family, had gotten wind that Judy was being looked at for his attempted murder.
Oh.
And none of them could believe it because she was so nice. Like, she and John always seemed really happy. And Judy was this well-to-do business owner. Matter of fact, Judy's friends weren't just supporting her. Like, all her employees stood by her during this time.
Oh,
and told police, like, you're on the wrong track, man.
Wow.
Like, not her. That is until investigators began to tell John all about the details they were uncovering.
Whoa.
You know, those Vicon C capsules that he had turned over?
Mm-hmm. They tested them?
Toxicology showed that the capsules contained paraformaldehyde, which is a disinfecting agent used in salons.
Oh.
Yeah. They discovered that Judy and John had life insurance policies on each other.
Did he know about these policies?
So, yeah. So the story is that they went in to get these life insurance policies together. I assume that what happened was they went in to apply for these insurance policies and they had to be reviewed before they were accepted and the policies actually. So they go home. I guess she received them. I don't know, by mail or whatever, but she signed.
Okay.
The application was approved for his policy. I don't know what happened to the policy on her. Oh. If she just negated it. Yeah. So he didn't realize, and when they brought this up to John, he was like, oh, I forgot all about the insurance policies. He just was not thinking about that at all. I mean, a man trying to get a man to remember something that happened 3 months ago. Come on. So he thought her first husband died in a plane crash in Vietnam.
Oh.
And he certainly didn't know anything about Judy telling all of her friends that John was dying from terminal cancer while he was being poisoned. No. So he was so sick and everyone's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with John? And she's like, oh, he's dying of cancer.
Girl.
So now John Gentry, from his hospital bed, realizes what he's tangled up in. This lady's web of lies and death, basically.
Oh, what a gut-wrenching realization.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And he learns that she's not just a suspect in his attempted murder, but she's a suspect in at least 3 other deaths. Now, at the time Judy's husband, James Goodyear's, died, no toxicology was performed because they didn't suspect any foul play or anything. He just presented as really ill, and then all of his organs started to shut down, and he eventually, it was classified like a death by natural causes. And Judy had emphasized to the medical team at the time that he just got back in the country from Vietnam. Perhaps he brought something back from his travels,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's some weird Vietnamese disease that, like she's trying to play it off like that.
But man, to survive Vietnam and then come home and...
I tell you what. But now they needed to know. They needed to know the truth. Yeah. So they exhumed James' body in 1984. Can you imagine if they didn't have that? Usually these people immediately cremate.
Yeah, really.
But forensic toxicologist Dr. Leonard Bednarski studied the tissue samples taken from James' body and found that he had high levels of arsenic.
Uh-huh.
And looking back...
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Achenbach explained that everything James was experiencing, the pulmonary congestion and eventual circulatory collapse, the renal failure, vomiting, diarrhea, all of that was a result of acute arsenic poisoning.
Wow.
Now, investigators also learned about the son that she lost in a tragic drowning accident. And they're like, well, let's dig into that.
Please do.
I hope that we're on the wrong track, but let's look into it.
Yeah, let's be wrong, please.
Yeah. They learned about this prolonged illness while in Judy's care and the whole boating excursion right after the release from the hospital, the life insurance. All of it amounted to a startling conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Judy tried to kill Michael by poisoning him, but he didn't die. He just became a paraplegic, so she tossed him out of a boat, knowing that he could not swim to safety. Whoa.
Yeah, wow.
What a devil woman.
Yes.
Now, finally, my investigation led me to a website called badmarriages.net.
Oh.
They did a story about Judy Buenoano, and what I didn't expect to find in the comment section, I always love reading the comments.
Yeah.
But there was a comment accusing Judy and her boyfriend, Bobby Joe Morris, of murdering a man named Ben Sherrod. Ben's son, Michael, wrote, quote, "My father, Ben Sherrod, was the man Morris and Buenoano killed in Brewton, Alabama in 1974. It was the only murder there that year.
Oh.
His case was never officially solved, but I know she was guilty. My father was tied to a chair before he was stabbed numerous times and shot in the head. Personally, I'm glad Morris died a horrible death, and I can only hope that Buenoano was absolutely terrified before she rode the lightning. She got what she deserved."
Oh.
A little foreshadowing there.
Okay.
End quote. Sadly, I couldn't find much information on Ben's murder. There was another historical figure called Ben Sherrod. So it was all about him, but I really had to dig, and I was only able to really find a couple newspaper articles from the Atlanta Journal and Decatur Daily from 1974. So right after it happened, which suggested that Ben's murder could be linked to a known convict named Paul John Knowles. However, according to the reporting by Molly Barrows, Bobby Joe Morris confessed to Ben's murder on his deathbed. And Bobby Joe's mom said that she knows Judy helped him because Judy told her so herself.
What?
I know that was a mouthful. But I think the takeaway here is that Judy was always up to no good. Okay?
I mean, yeah.
All the time. And she maybe have been involved in other deaths that we don't realize.
Wow. I mean, that's that Ben's death was so different from the other ones that we've talked about. And
but she also had someone with her on this one.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I would like to know the connection, like how
they're both dead. They're not going to sue me, right?
Right.
Do I have to say allegedly when they're both deceased? I don't know. Maybe their family can come after me, but it's interesting. I wish I could have found more. It seems like, I mean, he was a businessman from Miami. He didn't seem like some lowlife that police might not have cared about. Right. So I'm not sure why. Or maybe they suspected that it was this other serial killer, and they just kind of lumped him in with the other victims of this Paul John Knowles.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but yeah, Bobby Joe Morris didn't live to tell the tale. He lived barely just enough and told the tale. They never tried Judy for the death of Bobby Joe Morris because, according to a report from CBS News, they didn't know about him until after she had already been sentenced to death.
Oh.
Court documents revealed that his body was also exhumed in 1984, and tissue samples showed acute arsenic poisoning. I guess they were like, you're already going down for all the other stuff you did. Let's save the taxpayer dollars. And at the risk of sounding redundant, I'll kind of gloss over the trials. The juries heard all about the men in Judy's life that just happened to die while in her company. Isn't that funny? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure to what extent the totality of her crimes were discussed in each trial. Like, I don't know if the jury was able to hear about her husband, boyfriend, and son's death and the attempted murder, like John Gentry's attempted murder trial, but according to court documents, the crimes were tried separately. I assume because they were in different counties.
Oh, okay.
Now, the juries also learned about the life insurance policies. They even got to hear from an insurance agent named Barbara Crowan. She explained that when she met John and Judy to discuss the life insurance policies, she suggested $50,000 to start, just a modest. But Judy said, no, it needs to be $500,000, and at a later date we'll increase to $1 million.
Okay.
She was adamant. According to the Chicago Tribune, Judy was approved, like I said, for this John's life insurance policy 3 months before, and she had made 3 payments of $75.23 before John's car exploded.
Crazy.
A number of witnesses, including Judy's best friend, testified about hearing from Judy herself about, I have this idea. Maybe you could put arsenic in people's food and they will die.
Oh.
And that she killed her husband, James Goodyear.
Oh,
multiple people
might want to tell somebody.
Yeah. So in June of 1984, Judy was sentenced to life in prison for the first-degree murder of her son, Michael. Later that year, in November, Judy was sentenced to 12 years for the attempted murder of John Gentry. Mm-hmm. A year later, I assume this was the last one because of the exhumation and all that. Like, that takes time. And in November of 1985, Judy was convicted of first-degree murder of her first husband, James Goodyear. And in a jury vote of 10-2, she was sentenced to death.
Whoa.
To the very end, Judy never admitted any wrongdoing in any of the deaths she was convicted of. She filed a number of appeals on all her convictions, but they were all rendered down and used as toilet paper at the courthouse. And she was executed via electric chair on March 30th, 1998, which coincidentally was Michael Goodyear's birthday.
Really?
Her son's birthday.
Whoa.
Witnesses recounted how Judy had to be carried to the death chamber and placed in the electric chair. Okay. She did not want to go in there.
She was not going willingly.
She was like dragging her heels. She had her hands clenched and her eyes squeezed shut as they strapped her down. She didn't say any final words before they flipped the switch and she got toasted. She was the first woman to be executed in the state of Florida, actually.
Oh.
And only the third woman to be executed in the U.S. since the Supreme Court reinstated the death penalty in 1976. We talked about that in the Kenneth McDuff case.
Right.
Judy, no doubt, suffered in that 38-second electrocution, but that's nothing compared to the agony she put James Goodyear, Bobby Joe Morris, Michael Goodyear, and John Gentry through.
Yeah.
And who knows who else.
Right.
Who knows who else. She was constantly changing her name, moving, starting over.
Yeah, and she got away with it over and over. And
she got away with it over and over again.
What would have stopped her had this last one not?
Nothing. She would have continued. And she would have raked in $500,000. She had $500,000 on John Gentry. And back in the 80s, that was some cash.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
so, yeah.
To be so sly and slimy.
And you know what's weird is her friends said that she was a kind person. Like
living two different lives.
She was a calculated person is what I would say. She was kind to the people she wanted to keep in her inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
And she would do anything to make money. Anything.
Yeah,
Even kill her own child.
So disgusting.
In the way that she did. Like, he was paralyzed. And she's like, I'm just going to push you out of a boat and watch you drown.
Like, what's he saying the whole time she's loading him up? Like, I don't want to go.
That's what I'm saying. Lena, think about wedging a lawn chair in a canoe.
He's like, this is a bad idea.
This sounds stupid. This sounds like not a good idea.
No.
This is not.
Anybody will tell you.
This isn't a plan. So she's doing this. How did she even get him in the boat? Like, how did he agree? You know what I mean? Like, to get in that boat. Maybe he was like, well, it's a change of scenery, I guess. I don't know. But she got him in there.
I don't know. That's just...
Good Lord.
So cold and...
Yeah.
Ew.
Cold as ice. Well, she's burning in hell right now, so...
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, serving lunch to all the demons, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Ew.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. That was not great.
That was terrible.
I can't say that. I can't say this one was great. But we will do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Ugh.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening to Cousins on Crime. Get connected with us by becoming a free member on our Patreon. Or for just $5 a month, you'll have access to bonus episodes, discussion groups, and much more. If you can't afford $5 a month, we get it. Inflation, am I right? Please consider leaving us a positive review and rating wherever you listen.
And don't forget merch. Support our podcast and show the love by sporting t-shirts with our latest designs, or grab an evidence bag to keep the chain of custody for all your valuables. Don't forget to follow our show on your favorite streaming app so you never miss an episode, and get photos and updates on our Instagram at Cousins on Crime Podcast or our Cousins on Crime Facebook page. Have a case suggestion? Email us at cousinsoncrime@gmail.com.